Mm.
Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm over here yet. Wait.
There we go. We've gone live. I think everyone
Yeah.
at home can hear us now. Sorry.
No, there's nobody on.
Still, yeah. So good afternoon and welcome to everyone. Our first broadcast that we went through there, just a little bit of a sound technical problem, but the sound has come back on now. And we'll just wait for some more viewers to come online before we tell you a little bit of what's going on here this afternoon.
And Jen, we did see your comment saying that the viewing was great, but there was only a cackle on the audio, so hence the new live stream.
Good afternoon and welcome. I see now we've got 2 people online watching the live feed. Sorry that we dropped out there earlier. We just had a sound technical problem, but it seems like everything's working fine now. And, coming live to you from the last Waterhole hide at Mwamba Camp, part of the Shenton Safaris group with Kaingo Camp in South Luangwa National Park, Zambia. Again, it's myself, Craig. Next to me is Gerard over from Kaingo Camp. And on camera again today is Rowan. So the 3 of us will try to show you as much as we can this afternoon as we just wait to see what nature has in store for us today, what's going to come down. Again, like yesterday, anyone at home that's listening, you're more than welcome to type through some questions, send them through on the chat on the right-hand side of the page. And we'll see what we can answer for you. Otherwise, we'll just hang tight. I see right on cue, we've got a lovely breeding herd of elephants that's slowly making their way down to the water. So let's see how many youngsters they've got as
I think I just saw one youngster, but we'll see what happens. Just before we came on there was another group of elephants, and I really thought that this group was the same group, but maybe not.
Yeah, I've seen it before with these families where
one goes first. Eh?
Exactly. Yeah. They're actually quite polite to each other, that when one group is drinking, kind of the second group will hold back until the first family is done and moved out. And yeah, it's almost like I don't want to say a hierarchy, but they've got like a pecking order when it comes to drinking water. They're quite polite with each other.
Maybe it's just etiquette.
I think the only time they can go out the window is when you've got your large bull elephants that are down there. Then it's kind of a little bit of a free-for-all.
The female in the front is a little bit apprehensive, trying to smell the air with its trunk.
I think I can see 2 youngsters in between these females.
2, yeah?
Yeah.
Hopefully. And 2. There we are.
Almost the exact same size.
Yeah. Must be 2 mothers, eh?
So I've actually seen these girls come down here before with these 2 youngsters, because the first time I was like, wow, twins, but it isn't really. We'll get a closer look just now. You'll see
they're both tuskless. I wonder if they're 2 sisters. Could it be?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
We won't know with the youngsters because they're still too young to be developing tusks. Oh, geez,
isn't that a good sighting, eh?
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect. The hippos have to sort of move away, hopefully, a bit. Oh, that's a lovely sighting. Really is. How many liters can they take in their trunk at one time, Craig? 10 liters, hey, you think?
Yeah.
5 liters? I mean,
probably about 10.
Yeah.
5 to 10 liters. Can drink on average, I think, 50 liters a day quite easily. I know that when bull elephants get into must, they're losing close on over 100 liters a day, so they can drink up to about 150.
The little ones have got control of their trunks, so they actually, when they're a bit younger, they have no control of their trunks, which is actually quite amusing to watch. Hi, Jeanette. Glad you're on. The little ones they really want to be in between the two mothers.
Might be a case of thinking mom's found better water than what we're drinking over here, so let's try and get close to what they're doing. It's quite a good observation that you made there, Gerard, of these females being tuskless.
Yeah.
So that's not really uncommon in South Luangwa. They come across quite a few tuskless elephants. Across Africa as a whole, though, we're seeing more and more tuskless elephants. With some of the adverse effects that's come after years of poaching and some hunting in the area, some elephants now are just growing without tusks. It's safer that way, and then there's no risk of being hunted or poached. But it's also because the genes of having tusks and these big tusks have now basically become recessive genes. So hopefully in the next 50 to 100 years, we might see a return of elephants getting tusks, big tusks again like they used to.
And you can see the very sharp pointed forehead of the female elephant is quite obvious, especially the one up in the bank.
Yeah, it's quite a good way to tell the sex of a fully grown elephant. With a pointed forehead where the males are really rounded in front. A little bit harder to see in the youngsters, but as they get older, it starts to stick out a bit more.
You look at the female on the left-hand side, just seems to be like sticking this one leg out. That's back in again now. The little one's having struggled getting up the bank. Oh, made it. It must be about, say, 10 meters away from us at the moment.
Yeah, nice and close. They're definitely aware that we're here. They've got excellent hearing, so they can hear us. Luckily, with the way the hide is constructed, the elephants feel really safe and we feel really safe, so they've got no problem coming and drinking right here in front of us. I don't know if we can see it, maybe just now, but the smaller of the two youngsters actually is missing the end of the tail.
Oh yeah.
Tail's been taken off. I don't know if that's from a crocodile or
hyena
or something. I know sometimes if they get really bad amounts of ticks further up on the tail, it can slow down the blood supply to the tip of the tail, and then the hair just falls out.
Okay, I didn't know that.
In some mammal species, but I don't know. It actually looks like this tail's been stumped, like it's missing a piece. So possibly done while crossing the river with a crocodile or something like that. Would have been really dangerous for that croc. Because if mom's nearby, she'll definitely defend them.
What a lovely shot there, Rowan, with the two trunks. It's a fantastic shot, eh?
Cheers. So yeah, I think these two females could easily be sisters, or they're definitely related to each other.
Sheila, it's the same pair again. Patrick was due to be on, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. They normally start guiding at this time, so we were hoping that he wouldn't have to guide today, but he does have to. So you've got Craig and myself again, Gerard.
It's really nice how the light is catching that water as it's coming out of their mouth. The golden light. We'll see if they maybe are going to mud bath. I'm not too sure if they will mud bath now because the temperature has dropped quite a lot already. But if we're lucky, they might splash some mud on themselves as well a bit later. We can also, not in frame at the moment, but we can see some impalas around as well. They're making sure they steer well clear of the elephants, not to cause any stress to these mothers with the babies. Maybe we'll see them just now coming down for a drink, and the baboons as well again. The normal local visitors are back. So that female now is just staring at these impalas that are coming down to drink. Just making sure that it is impala and not anything else dangerous. Not that there is much that can damage or hurt an elephant. If it was a very large pride of lions, then definitely they'd be quite wary. But if it's just a few lions, then these elephants could easily chase away or sort out a pride of lions, no problem. So not too many natural predators for them in this area.
So I'm just laughing at the elephants, this young one. They really are amusing and cute. I think they like to get into them, but they're a bit wary of it. But certainly if they were in the river, they would be in the water by now.
It's funny sometimes with youngsters, they lean too far forward on that little step there and they actually fall over sometimes.
Do they fall
in
in?
the water.
Do they? Okay.
Mom's quite good though, that she'll grab them quickly and try and pull them out the water. So very strong family bonds in that they actually look after each other. You'll never have a mother just walk away and leave a youngster behind or anything like that.
Yeah, I suppose, Sheila, they learn at a very young age to do the mock charging, try and frighten the threat away. The worry is that they charge you and then the mother comes after them. So that's what we worry about.
So from what I can see, it looks like the two youngsters are also females. So it's four
it does
females
look like
all together.
Yeah. It's a very small herd, a very small family herd. It's most likely that there are others in the herd somewhere else.
I have read that sometimes larger breeding herds, when conditions aren't ideal like out there, they'll break into these smaller satellite groups just because it's easier to find, easier for foraging and feeding and so on, rather than being in a large group. But as soon as the rains return, they'll kind of stay in contact with each other and all get back together. So they can communicate over massive distances, more than 20 kilometers. They can pick up vibrations. They actually stay in contact at very low frequencies. So when you do hear elephants trumpeting, that's just out of distress. But when they're communicating with each other, it's more like a low rumble. Only about 20% of what they communicate is audible to the human ear. The rest is at such a low frequency we can't actually pick it up. But they could be having a big conversation right now and we just can't hear anything.
About us, yeah.
About us describing them, yeah.
And they call it infrasound. That's the technical term.
Apparently they can even pick up sound vibrations through the base of their feet.
Really,
with nerve endings. But obviously they've got really large ears. They can also pick up the sound waves quite easily. Always flapping those ears back and forth, especially in the heat. So the other species of elephant that you get in the world would be the Indian elephant. A little bit different to the African elephant. They also have the trunk. The ears are a different shape though. We say that the African elephant's ears are in the shape of Africa, and Indian elephant's ears are in the shape of India. They're much smaller and triangular. And they don't need as large ears because it isn't as hot in the regions that they are, and they're more forest-dwelling elephants. Whereas these elephants, having large ears like this, just helps to cool down the body temperature. They say if you had to open up the ear, like on both sides, and fold it out, it would account for almost 20% the surface area of an elephant's body. So by pumping blood through the ears and waving them back and forth, it's a very quick way to cool down the ears. If you can see on that ear, there's actually a lot of blood capillaries and veins running in the ear. So they can pump a huge amount of blood through the ears. And as the blood enters and exits the ear, it will be cooled down dramatically. And that's one way that these elephants can regulate their body temperature.
Gonzo, you say, do we ever try to help an animal in distress? The general rule is to let nature take its course. But obviously, if we have a small animal stuck in the mud, we probably will try and get it out.
Yeah, generally the only
Yeah.
time that we'll interfere is if it was a man-made problem.
Like snaring, yeah.
Like snaring, for instance, if there had been a report of a kind of poaching or an accident involving a man-made structure, then definitely we'll get involved. But like, for instance, if it's a sick animal that's very old and so on, then there's nothing we'll do about that. We'll just let nature take its course.
Because unfortunately, some of the predators get snared, and even things like hippo would get snares, and the wire would be wrapped around a leg or a neck or something like that. And then the local CSL, they call it, would come and dart the animal, take the snare out, and put an antibiotic cream and give it a quick injection of antibiotics. And that would all they would really do. Yeah, they finished their water. Now they're going probably quite a ways away from here, some food, and then the whole day starts again tomorrow.
Still a lovely scene that was.
Beautiful.
Not that much mud bathing taking place, and I'm sure it's just because the temperatures dropped quite dramatically. Still quite wary, and we've got one female in front and one female behind, making sure that the babies are safe in the middle.
We did have some impala coming down to drink, but they've sort of still wary up in the bank waiting to come and drink. So we're not going to talk that much. We'll just wait for any comments and let you hop around, watch us. And if you want the camera to zoom or go somewhere else, please, in the comment channel, just tell us. And it'd be great to tell us where you're from. That would be very interesting. So Rowan's focused on the hippos. You can see the red-billed oxpeckers. And pecking away, looking for any little insect or parasite on the hippo skin. They'll also peck, if there's a wound, they'll also peck away at that, which is also not very good for the hippo.
Yeah, I think the relationship between mammals and the oxpeckers is quite strange, and that sometimes is what we call a proper symbiotic relationship where both parties are going to be benefiting. You can have the birds that are benefiting by getting a food source and eating the ticks, and obviously the hippo or whoever the mammal is benefiting by having the ticks removed off of them. But sometimes the birds themselves can be quite parasitic, and that if they find an open wound, they'll keep feeding at it and keep it open, which isn't. I see a question about the lioness that's passed away recently here in the hide. No, she's still in the area. We haven't touched it. So we can't really see it from here in the hide, but just over the embankment, she's a star. And the scavengers of the area are yet to do their job, but I'm sure as soon as they find her, hyenas and vultures will probably remove her for us. It's not something that we would go and interfere with. So that will now become a food source for some other predators in the area.
Is that Henry the hippo?
Henry the hippo?
Adrian, I'm not sure. Craig, have
Adrian,
you named
the one closest to the hide at the moment is the one that has been nicknamed Henry, as per what the webcam viewers have been saying. The one further away is that other scarred, damaged male who arrived late yesterday. So Henry's basically the one with his back to us, as they call him. They seem to be a bit more accepting, except I saw on the webcam this morning there was a bit of an altercation between these two. So we'll see what happens. They're still definitely watching each other, making sure. There's a baboon coming down to drink, and it actually looks like it could have a youngster with it. I don't know if you can get that, Brian.
A baboon with the pale baby.
Very pale. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
albino.
Yeah, how would you tell, Craig? Anyway, I'll let you talk.
So this female coming down, the yellow baboons can be born really light in color. This one looks like it could even be an albino. Sometimes the albino babies are with the mom. We've got to just look for any other pigmentation, but the eye is black. We need it to
The eyes are
turn
black.
Oh, the eye is
Yeah.
black. Then it's probably not albino. It's probably
Yeah.
just a pale version or a pale gene. If it was albino, there would have been no pigment whatsoever in the eyes. The eyes would have actually appeared red in color, but it does give the effect that this could be an albino baboon. So probably will darken up as it gets a bit older.
But that's a characteristics of the yellow baboon in the wild, isn't it? Some of the babies are born quite white.
This one's very
Very,
pale.
very, very pale. Yeah.
Standing out nicely. If you think of the one that we saw yesterday on the live stream, maybe older, was black in color. And this one's very young as well. It's actually in a strange position. It should be on its mom's stomach, but so that baby won't have to drink water because it's still suckling milk from its mom. So as long as mom can drink, then it's no problem for
the
the
baby
youngster.
doesn't look that right, if you know what I mean. Bit of excitement. Drink of water and it's gone.
There are quite a lot of bird species that are swooping down and catching insects and drinking water. They're just so fast, it's really hard for us to get the camera on them quite quickly.
Miss Porto from Australia. Must be well into the evening there, I would imagine.
We had a really exciting night last night here in the camp, where during dinner, a female leopard actually passed maybe 40 meters away from our dining table. So we had a spotlight and we shone on her and she kind of walked by. So that was great for our guests to see that. And then once we all went to bed and we were all in our rooms and nice and cozy in bed, 4 male lions were down here at this watering hole. And we know this because they were roaring most of the night. And it's such a lovely sound to hear. So I'm not sure how far away those male lions made it. Could possibly still be close by because we are such a vital water source, but they don't really call during the day. So it was really exciting here in the camp last night. It was great.
And here comes our resident hammerkop, which our cameraman Rowan will now go on to. Hammerkop being the Afrikaans word for hammerhead, and you can see by the shape of its head where that comes from.
So in the beginning of the season, we have a lot more species of aquatic birds in the area. A lot of storks that will come and try and fish as much as possible. A lot more hammerkops. Most of them have all left the area. I think this water has been pretty much fished out. There's probably 1 or 2 catfish left in here. So this hammerkop has probably moved on to hunting frogs in the area, frog species. You guys can keep those questions coming in if there's anything you'd like to know. Just for those viewers who have tuned in recently, we're coming to you live out of South Luangwa National Park in Zambia from Shenton Safaris, and we're at one of our numerous photographic hides that we have in the area, one called the Last Waterhole Hide. One of the last vital water sources in the area. And we have a camp that's built right around this hide. So our guests staying here are able to come down and enjoy this hide every day while they're here.
Is it true that a lot of guests actually don't go on game drives and they'd rather come sit here the whole day?
Yeah, that's true. We're actually lucky that the hide's available this afternoon for us to come to you guys, because more often than not at this time of the year, guests will rather stay at the hide and see what comes down, and I'm sure everyone at home can see why. It's just such an amazing sight. You can sit here. I suppose for you guys it's like television, but even for us being here, it's like TV. You never know what's going to come down. There's always something new and exciting.
Bush TV.
Bush TV, yeah. You can spend hours down here watching. How many lion prides have visited this water source? There's a question coming in. That's a good question. So in our area of operation, we have 3 known lion prides that we see on a regular basis, and then there's a 4th that we see every now and then. That's more of a wandering pride. So this particular watering hole, it services 2 different lion prides. One is called the Mwamba Kaingo Lion Pride, named after our 2 camps, which is Mwamba Camp and Kaingo Camp. And that's quite a large pride. This year it's about 14 individuals, although there have been quite a few cubs that have been born recently, so it's probably up to about 17 individuals now. And that pride comes down here every now and then. I've seen them drinking here on a few occasions, especially if they've managed to catch a buffalo or something in the area. And some other another well-known pride of the area is a pride called the Kapunda Pride. And they're a pride that exists a bit further inland, away from the river, so they've kind of adapted themselves to be a bit further inland. So this is definitely a vital water source for them to come and visit. And the lioness that we had here a few days ago, she was from that particular pride, from the Kapunda Pride. So mostly at nighttime, or early morning, or very late afternoon is a chance to see predators come down to this watering hole.
So there are other pride, the Hollywood pride, it doesn't come here? Is that correct?
Now and again.
Now and again.
It's a little bit out of their way. That pride I see exists mostly along the river. I think they quite enjoy the Luangwa River. They will come up here if they've been chased away by the larger pride, that Mwamba Kaingo pride. Then we do have some other females that visit us here, known as the Hollywood pride. They can also come up every now and then. But mostly here, the lions we're going to see on a regular basis would be the Kapunda pride.
Rowan is sort of focusing on the 2 white-fronted bee-eaters, which obviously a colony in this area.
So one of the species that will dwell in the ground. They'll dig a tunnel into a riverbank and they'll get inside. So not like a traditional bird that uses sticks to build a nest. There we go. It's a little bit.
That's a beautiful picture, and they also they're very well. It's one of them. They have most complicated breeding systems because they have a clan system. So they have several generations in a clan, and clans make up the whole group of people. And then they help each other breed, make them a nest, feed the young, and some breed this year, and the next year others won't breed. But it's all in one clan, which is brothers, sisters, quite a few generations. So it's very interesting.
I think if they get a lazy year, they can even lay an egg in a neighbor's nest and
can they really? Yeah?
hope one of the neighbors. But I think it's only about 10% of them try that. But there's a good chance that could happen to them as well. It's what we call brood parasitism.
I was also reading some of the honey guards will also lay their eggs in the white-fronted bee-eater.
So they're very similar to what cuckoos do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what they do is your greater honey guard will go and lay an egg in the white-fronted bee-eater's nest, and the eggs will look almost identical. So that when the white-fronted bee-eater returns, it's very hard for them to actually distinguish between their own egg and the intruding egg. Sometimes as well, the brood parasite itself, the honey guard, might actually kick out one of the host species' eggs. just so that the host itself doesn't get confused as to whose egg is whose.
It always amazes me to think how many insects there must be around here. You've got quite a few bee eaters every day, hawking, eating insects, never seem to run out of food. We just heard some baboons having a bit of a squabble, but sadly out of camera range.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, you've got the bee eaters here during the day catching any insects, and then at nighttime, your bat species, your insect-eating bats would come in and take over from them.
Craig, when is the best time just to observe animals at this waterhole? You think that's over a 12-hour period?
I'd probably say our time from about 7 o'clock in the morning, first morning light, it gets quite busy with all your bird species and so on. And then it will stay busy until about midday-ish. At around midday, it will cool down quite it will heat up quite a lot, and animals won't come down as much.
Yeah.
And then later on in the afternoon, from around this time is when things can pick up again. So we were just talking about an interesting bird called a honey guide. The greater honey guide has actually come down to drink water. There it is.
There it is.
Let's see if we can zoom in a bit and you guys can see what it looks like.
It's still there.
That's a really special bird to see, and just such a coincidence that we were having a conversation about him and here he arrives. It's fantastic. So that's your greater honey guide in the middle, and on the left of that would be your red-billed buffalo weaver, and on the right of it now red-billed buffalo weaver and one of the sparrow species as well. I can't see which one.
I think they're the grey-headed. But you notice the red-billed, the buffalo weaver on the right-hand side is less darker than the one on the left. Would that be a female or would it be a youngster, you think?
Maybe a juvenile.
Juvenile, yeah.
Maybe a youngster that hasn't got the correct feathers yet. We're really lucky to see this greater honey guide.
We normally just hear them calling, which is quite often a very distinctive call, which I will not imitate. I'll leave that to Craig. He's good at that.
And the name honey guide, do they like honey, Gerard?
Do they like honey? Well, they actually don't like the honey as much as they like the larvae of the bee. So, that's what they'll do, the raider hive, and then try and eat the larvae.
Nice question coming in asking about animal encounters. Yeah. You can live in the bush your entire life. You're always going to see something incredible. I think the longer you get to see, it's not about seeing a particular animal, but what we do get blessed with, especially here in South Luangwa, is we get interspecies animal interaction. So two different kinds of animals that are interacting with each other that shouldn't be or don't normally do. So that could be a hyena stealing a kill away from a leopard or anything like that. That's really interesting. Those are the sightings that are really special, and we're just blessed in this area that we get incredible sightings like that all the time.
Now, Rowan's just focusing on a pregnant impala, and we expect by the end of this month we should be seeing lots of lambs from the impalas. Perfectly
timed with the rainy season. So as the rains arrive and all the beautiful, lovely green grass appears again, all the baby impalas are born. So it's a very good time for impalas. It's also a very good time for predators to also have their youngsters to coincide with that, so that there's plenty of food for all of them to hunt. If anyone at home, if you guys are enjoying this, please feel free to copy the link in the browser above, and you can share it with your friends. Get some more people online, can ask us some more questions. And hopefully we'll get plenty more animals coming down this afternoon. We're probably going to see how long we can do the broadcast for until it gets a bit darker. So we've probably got over an hour to go. As long as the signal holds out and the internet, we'll be with you guys. So feel free to share this, let your friends and family know, let them get online and ask us some questions.
And Sheila, we'll have to wait till Sly or Patrick come online, I'm afraid, for the mimicking, and we'll make sure they do. Hopefully that can be quite soon.
I do have the call here pre-recorded. Actually, let me see if I can get the honey guides call.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It's going to be much better than me mimicking it.
Yeah.
And also, if you guys want to learn more about Shenton Safaris or about what we do and who we are, you can visit our website at shentonsafaris.com or visit our Facebook page also at Shenton Safaris, and we're also on Instagram. And that's where we'll be advertising all of these live sessions and any videos that our guides have taken or interesting blogs. And also, like you were asking about special sightings, we write blogs and we put up videos and photos about anything special that happens in the area. So that's a nice way to stay up to date with what's going on here. Let's see if I can play that call for the honey guide. I've got it here. Listen carefully. I'm sure everyone got to hear that. We say it's saying Victor, Victor, Victor. So often we'll put rhymes to what the birds are saying. It's just an easy way to remember.
Hopefully we don't get lots of honey guys coming down now thinking they're going to mate or something. Oh.
We've got these lovely white-fronted bee-eaters that we showed earlier, and they're literally swooping right in front of us, pulling butterflies out the air or any bees or small insects, but quite difficult for us to get the camera on them. We'll see if we can get them. They're sweeping over the water. There seems to be one specific spot. We'll just keep the camera pointed there for a while, and I'm sure we'll be able to get lucky. Might take a while, so we'll just sit and wait. So you can see those insects on the water surface. It looks like little droplets. Those are your water striders and other kinds of aquatic insects. But every now and then, one of them tries to take off or fly away, and that's when these bee eaters will swoop down and catch. So let's just see if we can get one coming across the screen. No, I don't think they want to perform. Oh, there's one. Just there going across the screen really quickly. It's quite difficult to catch them. Oh, there we go. Flying over. Ryan, do you want to show these? Do you want to see these guinea fowl that are coming down in a nice line? Let's see if we can film them, see what they're up to. So our usual visitors, just like yesterday, the helmeted guinea fowl, slowly making their way down to the water. And they're quite comical actually to watch, kicking up dust every now and then and scratching and moving together.
You can see it hasn't been as hot as yesterday. The animals aren't, that keen to run to water.
But they are in the area. We'll just sit and wait and see what comes down. See a question asking what do the staff and us do during the rainy season. Some of the staff, like myself and some of the other staff members, will stay on with Shenton Safaris and assist in other aspects like marketing or sales and so on. But most of our staff members are from the local community, a small town called Mfui. And a lot of the guys do farming in the off season and the rainy season. They do farming from maize and cotton and groundnuts and all sorts of things. And they'll grow obviously for them and their families, and whatever's left over they can try and sell at market. That's what most of our staff members are doing in the rainy season.
soon these guinea fowls will start pairing off to breed. I've noticed quite a few times you just get the two together, so it shouldn't be too long and they'll start pairing off and you won't get these large flocks.
And they'll guinea